So in the previous class, we were explaining and doing the various types of energies through which we have contributed the total sum of hydraulic energy. The sum of hydraulic energy constitutes the sum of potential energy, pressure energy, and kinetic energy. And similarly, when we conclude the total head, that will constitute three types of head. Whenever we take that pressure energy, kinetic energy, or the potential energy with respect to the weight and weight of the fluid, then that will be given by it will give us the head, that particular head. That if we divide the pressure energy with the weight of the fluid, that it will give us the pressure head, and similarly velocity head and the potential head. So next we will have the Bernoulli's theorem. So that Bernoulli's theorem is the main important topic of your subject, and all the topics related to this and all the topics related in the chapter 4, chapter 5, chapter 6, all will be based on this Bernoulli's theorem. But whereas this Bernoulli's theorem is based on the continuity equation of flow. Coming again back to the previous slide, at the continuity equation of flow, we have discussed this in the previous classes also. That continuity equation of flow is basically based on the mass conservation principle. So that is the amount of fluid that is entering from the one end of the pipe will be equal to the amount of liquid leaving that particular pipe. So that is charge remains same, that is rate of flow, the amount of fluid that is flowing into the pipe remains always remains same. So this is the continuity equation of flow. Now on the basis of the continuity equation of flow, a scientist that Bernoulli has defined the Bernoulli's principle, Bernoulli's theorem, that is the sum of pressure energy, kinetic energy, and potential energy of an incompressible non-viscous fluid, and the flow should be a streamlined flow. Then the sum of these energies must remain same or must remain constant. That is, if you are calculating the total head or the total energy at the entry point of this particular pipe, you can see figure A or figure B. That is, you can see there is a varying diameter. The diameter at the entry is large as compared to the diameter at the exit. So as soon as that liquid or the fluid enters into that pipe, the amount of fluid that is entering must remains equal to the amount of liquid that is leaving that particular pipe. So that Bernoulli's theorem or the Bernoulli's principle justifies that or states that amount of liquid, that is amount the sum of energies, that is when you're calculating the different types of energy, that is pressure energy or the pressure head, potential head or the velocity head, then when you're calculating all the heads at entry as well as exit, that remains always same. But conditions or the assumptions are always there in any theorem. Whenever you're proving any theorem, there will be, we are having some assumptions while proving that theorem. So assumptions are, that is the fluid must be a non-viscous fluid, that is viscosity must be zero, a flow must be streamlined flow, and also that fluid must be incompressible. So that is, there is no change in the density of that particular fluid which you are using to prove your Bernoulli's theorem. So you have to assume these assumptions while proving that Bernoulli's theorem. So whenever you are proving that Bernoulli's theorem, you have to calculate three types of head. That is total head, that constitutes pressure head, potential head, and kinetic head or velocity head at the entry point. Then the value of the total head must be equal to the total head that is to be calculated at the exit point of the pipe. That is velocity head, kinetic head, and the pressure head. Whenever you're calculating these three heads and constituting that these three heads gives you the value of the total head, then the total head must remains constant at entry as well as at exit. You have assumed that we have assumed that there will be uh, we have assumed that there will be the entry, there will be lot of variation in the uh, density as well as in the flow of fluid or in the velocity of the fluid or in the pressure of the fluid. But we have assumed that there should be no change in the density, there should be no change in the viscosity, or there should be a streamlined flow, that is there is no change in the pressure as well as velocity of the fluid with respect to change in time or change in space. So these are some assumptions while we are proving that Bernoulli's theorem. And so these assumptions must be kept. So we always have to suppose that the fluid must be an ideal fluid, because these all assumptions are related to the fluid when it is in the ideal state. And we also know that there is no situation of the there is no point that an ideal fluid exists in the universe. But for proving that Bernoulli's theorem, we have must have to assume these conditions or assume this uh, specifications for the fluid to be proved that Bernoulli's theorem. So again, I am explaining that Bernoulli's theorem is basically the just based on the continuity equation of flow, that is mass conservation principle, that is amount of fluid entering into the pipe must remain the amount of fluid that is leaving that pipe. So we will calculate, we will have its derivation. That's how we'll prove that the total head remains same, while we are proving that there is a change in the there is a change in the viscosity, or there is change in the uh, compressibility, or there is change in the way, or neglecting this all these conditions, like we are assuming that it's compressible fluid, incompressible fluid, it is a non-viscous fluid and the streamlined fluid. So just a minute, there is some disruption in the power here. So I'm again showing my screen of the computer. Are you listening, students?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Just a minute. I'm just connecting. So coming on to the assumptions of the Bernoulli theorem. Now is it my screen is visible to you? Now continuing the Bernoulli theorem, so we have some assumptions, that is we have assumed that the viscosity must be zero, that is the fluid must be an ideal fluid, the fluid must be steady and incompressible and irrotational. That is, irrotational means this flow is just a streamlined flow, and the particles of the fluid are moving in just a single direction and they are not moving about their own axis. So there are basically three types of heads, that is pressure head, potential head and the velocity head. So pressure head is basically when whenever you are dividing that pressure energy with respect to the weight of the fluid, and whenever you are dividing the mm, potential energy with respect to the weight of the fluid, and similarly you are dividing the velocity kinetic energy with the weight of the fluid, then you are getting the three types of heads, that is total head, that is pressure head, potential head and the velocity head. So you have to assume it that this is a v square here, this is some typing error. So this is z plus p by w plus v square by 2g must remains constant. So we'll calculate this total head at the entry point as well as at the exit point. So we'll calculate this head. So you can see in the figure also. I am again coming back to the previous slide. So we'll calculate the total head at the entry point. That is, we have assumed the area of the entry at A1. P1 is the pressure and small v1 is the velocity. That delta L1 is the length of the pipe through which we are assuming that the amount of the liquid that is entering the pipe, and v1 is the height of the axis from the datum head, that is the reference point from where we are moving the we are measuring the axis, or we are measuring that point, center point of the axis of the entry point. And similarly we have zoomed the area at the exit point as A2, pressure as P2, velocity as V2, and the length through which the liquid is passing or exiting that pipe is assumed as the delta L2. And also the distance or the height from where the reference point is being assumed from the datum point, it is H2 or Y2. So you can consider figure A as well as figure B. So similarly, they are being shown that there is a variation in the diameter also, and there is a variation change in the axis from where it is lying from the with respect to the datum point. So mathematically, we have to prove that the total head at entry must be equal to the total head at exit. So for proving that equations, I have already told that we'll assume some conditions, that is the fluid must be incompressible, non-viscous and streamlined. So coming again to the that is the proof of the Bernoulli's theorem. So you can see that we have assumed that A1, P1, V1 and Z1 are basically the area, pressure or I'm slightly zooming it so you can clearly see here. So this is the, so A1, P1, V1 and Z1 are basically the area, pressure, and density, velocity, and the height with respect to the datum head. Similarly, at the exit point, that is A2, we are having A2, P2, V2, Z2 are the respectively are the area, pressure, velocity, and the height from the datum head. So as soon as you are proving this, you have to assume some conditions, or you have to assume some value of the area, pressure, velocity, and the height. Because in the numerical you will have some the numerical value or the algebraic value in the terms of the numericals. But while proving a derivation, you have to assume the in the alphabetically way or the in the symbolic way. You have to assume the symbols at the entry as well as at the exit point. So similarly, we are assuming that the length of the entry of the point is delta L1, the velocity for this particular point is delta V1, and weight of the fluid that is entering is delta W1, because we are considering a single portion of the pipe at the entry point as well as at the exit point. So the single portion or the smaller portion which we are considering for calculating that total head at the entry point is delta L1, and for the entry exit point we are assuming that small portion of the pipe that is delta L2. For that small portion of pipe, we have assumed the various conditions of the Bernoulli's theorem, like the fluid is incompressible, non-viscous, and the streamline flow and the irrotational. We have not assumed for the whole pipe because we are calculating the total head at entry as well as at exit point only. So at entry point, we have considered the smaller portion delta L1, and at exit point, we have considered the smaller portion delta L2. And similarly, we have assumed that the amount of fluid that is entering the pipe is delta W1, and the amount of fluid that is leaving that pipe is delta W2 at exit point. So at entry point as well as exit point, we will calculate three types of energies, three types of heads, and then we will sum it and then we equate the equations the total energy for the entry point as well as the exit point. If they remain same, if they will be calculated as same, resulted out to be same, then we will prove that this is a, that is the Bernoulli theorem will be justified. So first of all, we'll calculate the potential energy. So you can see the potential energy of the fluid is delta W1 into Z1. Why it is delta W1 into Z1? So you can see delta W1 is the weight of the fluid that is entering into the liquid, and Z1 or Y1 I have considered it as the height from the datum point, from the reference point. So this is delta W1 into Z1. Similarly, potential energy of liquid at column at point 2, that is point 2 is the exit point. So for this, we are having delta W2 into Z2. So as soon as you can see, there is a loss of potential energy has been determined whenever you are going from point Z1 to Z2. Why it is there is a loss? Because you can see there is a decrease in the height of the pipe, so there is a loss of potential energy from point N1 1 to 2. So there is a loss of potential energy, so therefore delta W1 Z1 minus delta W2 Z2 will be the loss in potential energy, and delta W1 will be the common, because we have assumed that delta W1 must remains equal to delta W2, because the amount of fluid that is entering into the pipe must be equal to the amount of liquid or the fluid leaving that pipe. So therefore the weight remains same, that is delta W1 is equal to delta W2. So the loss in potential energy will be equal to Z1 minus Z2 into delta W1. Similarly, we'll calculate the pressure energy now. So the pressure energy at point 1 or the entry point will be P1 by W into delta W1, and similarly the pressure energy at the exit point will be P2 by W into delta W. Why it is P1 by W? P1 by W is, that is the pressure head into the weight of the liquid. Weight of the liquid at entry we have assumed delta W1, and weight of the liquid at exit we have assumed delta W2. And also we have assumed that the same amount of liquid is entering and same amount of liquid is leaving that particular pipe. So delta W1 delta W2 again remains equal, so it becomes equal to P1 by W minus P2 by W into delta W1. So why there is loss in pressure energy? Why we're subtracting the pressure energy at point 2 from point 1? Because you can see that area is decreasing at the exit point. As soon as the area is decreasing, the pressure will be decreasing, because area is always proportional to the directly proportional to the pressure, whereas it is inversely proportional to the velocity. As per the continuity equation of flow, area is inversely proportional to the velocity. So as soon as you decrease the area, the velocity will increase or the pressure will decrease. So similarly, there is decrease of pressure at the exit point as compared to the pressure energy at the entry point, because area is more here at the entry point. You can see in figure A, area is more at the entry point and the area is less at the exit point. So as soon as the area is more here at the entry point, the pressure will be more at the entry point, whereas area is less here at the exit point, here will be less pressure. So therefore there will be a loss in pressure energy. As soon as you are moving from entry to exit point, there will be loss of pressure energy. Why there is loss? Because at entry point the area is more, the pressure will be more, hence pressure energy is more, whereas at the exit point the area is less, the pressure energy will be automatically less. So we are encountering with the loss in pressure energy as we are moving from point entry point to the exit point in the case of this Bernoulli's theorem figure. Similarly, when we are moving to the findings to the kinetic energy at point entry point as well as in the exit point. So what is the kinetic energy? It is V1 square by 2g, as we have calculated in the this pressure in the velocity head here. It is V2 square by 2g. Similarly, at point 1, it becomes equal to V1 square by 2g into delta W1. What is delta W1? I again explain. It is the weight of the liquid entry at the entry point. So similarly, we have calculated that.
सर ब्लोर दिखाई रहा है.
हाँ जी,
सर ब्लोर दिखा रहा है.
ब्लर नहीं है
स्क्रीन
बेटा
साफ
मेरी
नहीं.
तरफ से क्लियर। तो अब मैंने थोड़ा जूम किया बेटा। So similarly, kinetic energy of the liquid at point 2, it is delta W2 into V2 square by 2g. So, but here you can see there was loss of pressure energy as well as potential energy when we are moving from entry to exit point. But if you see in the figure here, the area is less here. Area is less here at the exit point. If area is less at the exit point, so area is inversely proportional to the velocity. So as soon as the area is less at the exit point, the velocity will be more. If the velocity will be more, that is kinetic energy will be more or the kinetic head will be more. So as soon as you are moving from entry point to the exit point, you can see in the figure also. As soon as you are considering the velocity head from entry to exit point, you can see that there is some increase in the or gain in the kinetic energy. Whereas we have encountered with the loss of pressure energy as well as the potential energy in the case of this pipe. Whereas as the area is decreasing from entry to exit point, you can see that when the area is decreasing, the velocity will be more. So we are resulting in the increase in the, we are resulting with the increase in the, I think there is some loss of connection from my side. So you can see in the figure now that as soon as you are moving from point entry to the exit point, then there is some increase in the velocity. Because why there is an increase in the velocity? Because there is a decrease in the area from entry to the exit point. So therefore you can see that we are resulting in the gain in the kinetic energy as compared to the loss in the case of the pressure energy as well as in the potential energy. So whenever you are gaining something and whenever you are losing something, you have to equate these two equations also. So therefore, as soon as you are having on the basis of the principle of conservation of energy, so there is some loss in energy between point 1 and 2 must be equal to the gain in energy at point 1 and 2. What is point 1 and 2? That is the point of entry and the exit point. So whenever you are equating this equation, so it becomes equal to Z1 minus Z2 into delta W1 plus P1 by W minus P2 by W into delta W1 is equal to V2 square by 2G minus V1 square by 2G into delta W1. Zoom you can zoom your mobile also to see the screen with clearly. So we have assumed that there is a same amount of liquid entering and exiting that particular pipe. So delta W1 will be cancelled out from both sides. So it becomes equal to Z1 minus Z2 plus P1 by W minus P2 by W is equal to V2 square by 2G minus V1 square by 2G. So whenever you equate, so it becomes equal to P1 by W plus Z1 plus V1 square by 2G is equal to P2 by W plus Z2 plus V2 square by 2G. That is, we have calculated that both the heads at the entry as well as at the exit, and we have calculated that all the heads are same. That is, heads at entry as well as head at the exit are same, or you can see the total head remains constant throughout the pipe from entry to exit point in the case whenever we are assuming that the fluid is incompressible, streamlined, and non-viscous fluid, and also it is having the property of irrotational fluid. So this concludes your or proves your Bernoulli's theorem. So you can see that. So next are the applications of the Bernoulli's theorem. So how this Bernoulli's theorem is being applicable to various day-to-day or our life, various day-to-day life situations. So as soon as you can see an aeroplane is moving or it is being taking off from the ground. So as soon as it is lifting on an aeroplane wing is due to the different variation speeds and pressures on the two surface of the wing. So you can see this is a wing. Wing मतलब जो उसके पंख है उसके एरोप्लेन के, how it take off from the ground, how it take on, कैसे टेक ऑफ होता है एरोप्लेन जो है ग्राउंड से, तो आप देख सकते हैं कि नीचे से जो जहां पे वो मूव कर रहा है एरोप्लेन उसके नीचे जो एयर है उसमें क्या है उसकी वेलोसिटी कम है, तो वहां पे प्रेशर क्या हो जाएगा, ज्यादा हो जाएगा। वेयर एज जो उसका ऊपर वाला सरफेस है विंग के, the surface on the upper side of the wing having more air velocity because of the velocity of the aeroplane. So there is more velocity on the upper side of the wing as compared to the lower side of the wing. So whenever there is a more velocity of air, there will be lesser pressure. So lower pressure on the upper side, and due to the lesser velocity on the lower side, there will be pressure more. So the body always move from higher pressure to the lower pressure. So that is why it is being lifted from ground level to the upward level. So similarly, you can see a sailboat can move against the wind using the pressure differences on the both sides of the sail and using the keel to keep from going sideways. So this is the principle how the boat is being moved against the wind, against the flow of the streamline or against the flow of stream in the canal or in the river or in the lake also. So this is the principle that is due to the variation in the pressure difference, the boat is being can move against the difference of the pressure. So how the ball is being spun in the case of the cricket. So whenever you are spinning the ball or the bowler is spinning the ball, there is a variation of pressure in the both sides of the ball. That is, whenever you are increasing the velocity on the upper side, you are decreasing the pressure here. But whenever you are spinning the ball, so there will be lesser velocity on the lower side of the ball. So whenever there is a lesser velocity on the lower side of the ball, there will be more pressure here. So always you have to keep in mind that pressure is inversely proportional to the velocity. So as soon as the velocity is decreasing, the pressure will be more, or as soon as the pressure will be more, the velocity will be less. So whenever you are spinning the ball on the upper side of your hand, the velocity will be more, the pressure will be less. Whereas on the below side of your hand, you have the higher lower velocity, so there will be higher pressure. So as soon as you release the ball from your hand, it will be spin from higher pressure side to the lower pressure side. So that is why there is a variation of the path is being resulted while you are spinning the ball. So similarly, when you were young, your parents always used to advise that you should not stand near to the running train. Why they say you these things? Because whenever you are standing near the moving train, so you can see that there, in between you and the train there is a high velocity wind. So when the velocity of air is high, there will be lesser pressure, whereas behind you there will be lesser air velocity, so there will be more pressure behind you. So as soon as you stand near the running train, the body can move, or you yourself can move from लोअर प्रेशर टू द हायर प्रेशर. आपके पीछे जो प्रेशर है वो एयर का वो कम है, क्योंकि सॉरी ज्यादा है, क्योंकि वहां पे एयर की वेलोसिटी कम है. वेयर एज इन बिटवीन यू एंड द ट्रेन द वेलोसिटी ऑफ एयर इज वेरी हाई बिकॉज ऑफ द वेलोसिटी ऑफ द ट्रेन. वहां पे एयर की जो वेलोसिटी है वो काफी ज्यादा है, लेकिन वहां प्रेशर कम हो जाएगा. तो ऑलवेज बॉडी विल मूव फ्रॉम हायर प्रेशर टू लोअर प्रेशर. तो वो पीछे से एक बार धक्का लगाने की कोशिश करेगा हायर प्रेशर, तो आप ट्रेन के अगेंस्ट आप एक्सीडेंट हो सकता है. तो इसलिए आपके पेरेंट्स जब आप यंग थे तो बोलते थे कि जब ट्रेन निकल रही है तो उसके थोड़ा दूर खड़े रहिए, ताकि वहां पे बर्नौली थ्योरम का इफेक्ट ना आए. उनको चाहे टेक्निकली इतना साउंड नहीं पता था, लेकिन होता यही है कि बेसिकली बर्नौली थ्योरम के अकॉर्डिंगली क्या है, आप ट्रेन से स्ट्राइक कर सकते हैं, कोलाइड कर सकते हैं, बिकॉज आपके पीछे जो है एयर की वेलोसिटी कम है, वहां प्रेशर ज्यादा हो जाएगा. आपके और ट्रेन के बीच में वेलोसिटी एयर की ज्यादा है, वहां प्रेशर कम हो जाएगा. एंड बॉडी ऑलवेज मूव फ्रॉम हायर प्रेशर टू लोअर प्रेशर, और वो हायर प्रेशर आपको पुश करेगा अगेंस्ट द ट्रेन, जिसके आपको कुछ इंजरी हो सकती है. इज इट क्लियर? We'll do Venturimeter in the next class. Now I can take the questions from the students. Anybody having any doubt, you can ask me.